Good morning, class.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Just
Morning,
remind
ma'am.
just remind me what were we doing in the last class? What had we begun? And
Ma'am, I think we left on rational choice theory.
okay, okay. And Georgian, are you online?
Yes, ma'am.
Georgian, did you inform Naveen for the extra class on Thursday?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Has he published it?
No, ma'am. Ma'am, I'll remind him today.
Please remind him. Okay.
Ma'am.
Remind him, and why I'm saying this is because then I'll also. What is the time slot for the Thursday class?
Ma'am, 12 to 1.
Okay, I will just message Naveen right right now for the class. Thursday. How are your other classes going on other than the theory classes? How are you? Do you have any practical classes this time? Any practical courses?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, no.
No, ma'am.
Oh, then it is fine. You are not struggling with it. Because many students who have practical sessions, they will be struggling with. Okay. So I've also, Georgian, I've also informed Naveen as and when he checks the message. I think he should publish. Let me know if it is published on Amazon, so I'll publish the class on MS Teams. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so I'd begun with rational choice theory, and did I introduce it or did I not?
Ma'am, you introduced it.
Mhm. Okay.
And ma'am, we also talked about individual material interest.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, you had introduced rational choice theory briefly.
Okay. Why is the rest of the class quiet though? Because the rest of the class does not remember. Anyway, so I started with rational choice theory in human ecology, and I told you that it is a theory that is popular in economics and political science, and it is a theoretical idea that promotes a belief of scholars that human beings are rational beings and they make rational choices, and these rational choices are almost always driven by their material self-interest. Okay, individuals material self-interest. So what happens is that if there is a person who's planning to buy something, say if a person is planning to purchase, say, vegetables, then they are going to look for the best quality in the most reasonable price range or the cheapest price range. Okay. And this is something which they are going to do, which is going to be a rational choice. Again, uh, suppose we take the example of a hunter that can kill a 100-pound animal, or just a moment. I think yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I was just trying to say that the individual material interest is something which which drives the rational choice of people. And what you basically understand is that when suppose we are taking into account, say, a hunter's outlook, then you'll understand that when a hunter is hunting um, for food, which is easier, killing 100-pound animal or killing 10, 1 pound animals or 10 pounds animal? Which is easier?
Ma'am, hunting a 100-pound animal if it's
And
for food.
yeah, I told you it is for food. The hunt is for food.
Same.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why is that?
Ma'am, because then there will be less exercise of energy,
Mm-hmm.
and one big animal can be killed, which because if they have more meat and flesh, then that meat and flesh can be utilized for multiple days in a row, so that the person doesn't have to hunt a new animal either every day or in a
Surplus would be
single day.
available.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, the effort involved in killing one huge animal would also be less compared to killing 10 other.
Okay, okay. So as you can say, this person, the hunter, has used the rational choice of and has calculated, has a mental calculator and has mentally calculated which idea should they go behind. Should they kill 10 animals of 10 pounds each or 5 pounds each, or should they kill one 100-pound animal or 50-pound animal because it's easier to kill? So it's material versus the time invested and a lot of other ideas which are going to sort of help in understanding and evaluating the best means and method of calculating. Are you getting my point? So rational choice is about an individual's material gains and an individual's way of assessing and evaluating what do they require as and when they require it. Okay, so this is something which is a ideology that has been promoted in terms of ecology. Okay, now why is it relevant? So now the thing is that they have human beings are generally rationally accurate. Now, a lot of times it has been believed that Western communities are quite irrational in terms of their choices with regard to the environment. Okay, with regard to environment, Western communities have not been making rational decisions, have not been taking rational decisions. As I told you, human beings are constantly mentally calculating things, and people rationalize irrational behavior by using shortcuts, by using, um, you know, by using various arguments and ideas in order to um, justify things in their mind. So while there is diversity in culture, while there is diversity in behavior, almost always you will find that rational choice is something which is correct, and you will find that it is something which is more or less universal. It is something which people indulge in every culture. Now, each culture has different goals, different technologies, and also different ideas of what is rational and what is irrational. Okay, many times in a similar environment, what can be considered rational for one culture may not be rational for the other culture. Therefore, what we see when we compare habits, when we compare people's beliefs towards their environment, we try to see how reasonable or how rational their beliefs and ideas are. Okay? Are you getting my point, all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Mom. Okay. Now, many times, as you must have heard, the shifting cultivation or the slash and burn technique is something which is quite detrimental to how do I say, which is quite detrimental to the environment, because many times communities kill communities, uh, burn an area, making the land less productive, losing nutrition, etc. Now, the interesting thing is that, don't you think that the community that is practicing slash and burn already knows that how certain things are detrimental to the environment? Do you think that they know it?
Yes, ma'am. They must know, ma'am, because
They
they
might.
know that they have to leave the land fallow after they have performed
Yeah.
the shifting cultivation procedure.
Then why do they continue to practice it? Or why did they continue to practice it? If you know what you are doing is harmful, and if you know what you are doing is going to affect um, the larger environment, why do it? When you know that your behavior is irrational, why do it?
Ma'am, because they are simply justifying their irrational behavior as saying that they are rational in doing what they are doing.
How?
Ma'am,
What
ma'am,
may be the reason? Suppose it is an irrational behavior according to us, okay? Then also, how do they justify it? That's what I want to know.
ma'am,
Maybe.
I don't know how
Mom,
they justify
maybe
it.
maybe they can be justified from a point of cultural perspective. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
they can be classified as a cultural practice and therefore given a reason uh, according to some kind of religious sanction or something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
They may be justifying it in the name of religion or culture.
Okay.
Or ma'am, even technology, they can be justifying that this is our society, and like this is our choices of technology, or this is how we utilize technology.
See, you are partially correct, but you are not entirely right. Understand that when you are talking about religious belief, yes, you are right. But at the same time, please understand that what was the rationale of practicing slash and burn kind of technique? When you talk about slash and burn kind of technique, you must realize that slash and burn kind of technology was practiced when the land was in plenty. Okay, when the land was in plenty, then things were quite different. People could actually burn small pieces of land as a mark of their respect that they were leaving the land to retain its nutrition. All right, and this was their belief system. And the plentiful land meant that by the time they returned to that same piece of land, the land had already retained, according to them, had already retained is its much needed nutrition. Are you getting my point? Now, interestingly, the problem here is that uh, they are not scientists, they are not ecologists. Okay, so the scientists and ecologists are those people who ideally should have this understanding that whatever they are doing, whatever they are trying to uh, practice, it is destructive to the environment or it is constructive to the environment. They are the ones who are expected to have that understanding, not others. Are you getting my point, all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we
Yes,
mean the
ma'am.
people who are practicing a certain type of practice, right?
Sorry?
The people who are practicing shifting cultivation, we are talking about those people. Like they
No,
they
I'm
are the
saying, I'm saying that, it is not for the people, not for the traditional community to actually understand. Okay? It is
okay,
not
ma'am.
up to the traditional community to actually understand. Um, why particular community, why do they do what they do? To them, the behavior is rational and it is the most rational. Okay, now the scientists believe that something is destructive or constructive to their environment, or because they are doing it from a scientific perspective. Let us go back to one of the earliest classes that I took of ecology, and I told you about Arcadian, imperialist, and scientific traditions of thought. Do you remember that?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
When I was talking to all of you about that, I discussed with all of you how, these traditions were sort of helping us in understand, things like how do scientists or how do traditionalists approach nature, approach thought. Are you getting my point? So it is something approach nature, approach thought. When I'm talking about that, I'm basically talking about this theoretical point of view. Are you getting me? So when I'm talking about theoretical point of view, I'm basically saying that okay, this theoretical point of view is Arcadian. This theoretical point of view is imperialist, and this theoretical point of view is scientific. Please understand, according to the traditional community, what they are doing is Arcadian, that is, they are in harmony with nature. Because to them, if they reach a particular piece of land after 10, 15 years, and if the land has retained its original nutrition, then to them, no loss has happened, no major loss has happened. Because other than what they were doing, slash and burn, they don't have environmentally destructive practices. Are you getting my point? So they don't have any environmentally destructive practices, they don't have any additional environmentally destructive practice. So in order to understand this, you need to understand these theories, these three schools of thought, or these three traditions: the Arcadian, the imperialist, and the scientific. Now to a scientist, it doesn't matter what your emotions are about a piece of land. To them, what matters is the fact that scientifically whether a decision is viable or not. Did you get my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, see, whatever I'm talking to you about, all I'm trying to say is that um, you have to look at it from that perspective. Like, remember when I talked to you about cow being a functional animal for Hindu religion, because and for the agriculturists, and among the Hindus, the most common occupation was that of being an agriculturist. So, if you take that into perspective, then you realize that how this particular thing actually alters your worldview. So you have to constantly negotiate with the idea of Arcadian imperialist, or scientific traditions or scientific schools of thought. Now I will just give you one more example. I just now told you that Western communities are considered irrational. Why are they considered irrational? See, one of the ideas of them being considered irrational is because they hardly consider themselves to be a part of nature. They're constantly threatened by nature. Are you getting my point? They constantly believe that they have to fight nature, or they have to capture nature, okay, in some way or the other, or overcome nature. Are you getting my point? Like, to us, what is it? If something wrong is happening environmentally, we don't take risks. We just say, leave it, let it be. Let's not take any risk, any significant risks, because what do we think? We think that if we take risks, then we are going to end up in a problem. Why is that? Because what happens is, generally, we say that if something looks mysterious, if something looks problematic, let us not venture into it. Okay, that's not true for the typical white European and American countries. For them, what is significant is the fact if something is happening which they are not able to understand, they will venture into it. Are you getting my point? Like it was it last year or was it last to last year when a group of people got stranded in Malaysian cave, Indonesia, Malaysia. Where was it?
Indonesia, ma'am, I think.
Indonesia.
Yeah, and they had they had actually what they did was that they were they were actually stranded in it, and there were a couple of youth, and anyone in India when they were listening to it, they said jana kyu tha, what was the need to go there? Do you understand? Even today, if you tell your parents or anybody that I'm going to be trying bungee jumping or I'm going to be trying parasailing or any of these things, they're going to, many of them are going to be like, what is the need? Or if you are doing it, then uh, why are you threatening your life? Why do they think? What do you think is the reason for that kind of behavior? Even today, if I tell my parents for that matter that I want to do something adventurous like bungee jumping, my parents would be like, what is wrong with you? Are you fine? Are you okay? Why do you want to do it? So that is what I'm trying to tell you. Why do you think do they believe in something like that according to you? Anyone who can tell me?
Ma'am,
Mom,
because
that
it's
why
see,
Yes. Yes, please tell me.
Mom, you're asking that why parents think that
No, no, it's
was it
not just parents, it's about you also. Even today, many of you, I will see many of you, you are more than happy being proactive, more than happy being safe, more than happy being within the confines of, what may be considered as safety. Are you getting my point?
maybe?
Yeah, why? Why is that? That is what I want to know. An average 19-year-old in America will not be as proactive as you are. Why is that? I'm talking to a class of 15 here. Okay. How many of you have tried jumping from an airplane?
Mom, I haven't.
I think
ma'am,
only
but I
Ishita.
want to.
I think only Ishita has. Ishita, are you raising your hand to tell me that you have?
Yes, mom. I couldn't
Okay.
unmute myself. Sorry.
That's no, that's not an issue. So Ishita has, okay. Now in a class of 17, sorry, one person is actually the person who has done that. And how many of you have done paragliding? How many of you have done parasailing?
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
I'll turn off my video. Yes, am I audible now clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yes, I was just asking all of you, how many of you have done parasailing? How many of you have done paragliding or any such activity which requires, any kind of adrenaline rush or any kind of thrill with regard to, taking risks? Yes, Vasundhara.
Ma'am, I have done like a few things out of these, like you were saying, parasailing.
Mm-hmm.
Not
And
exactly that, but
but
yes, ma'am.
Vasundhara, my question is, was it unassisted or was it assisted?
Ma'am, it was assisted because they don't let you get on it without any assistance.
Yes.
Ma'am, but river crossing was not assisted. When you're a child, they assist you there, but not when you're an
You
adult.
mean you
So,
mean you mean rappelling?
sorry, ma'am.
Do you mean rappelling?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So, Ishita, what you did, was it assisted or unassisted?
Unassisted, ma'am. You have to go undergo training and then you end
Yes,
up.
yes, I know. So that is why what I was trying to ask all of you is now when Ishita did that, and she's among your age group, would you be willing to do that because she did it?
If only I hadn't the phobia, maybe. That's the factor.
Scared of death,
Ma'am,
man.
I will try. I
Okay,
would
I
like to try.
okay. I still feel that the rest of the class is either sleeping or not participating, or they have just put the system on they've just logged in and moved away from the system, or they feel that they will not want to try something like this. Yes, class, what is it? Other than Jay, George, and Ankur, what is it? Which is your opinion?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am,
No,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
I
I
would
would love
love to
to
try.
try this.
Ma'am, I want to try.
Okay.
Ma'am, I also wish to have at least skydiving, but
Okay.
I
But
didn't
Ma'am, there's
get
a
the chance.
number of things I would like to try, but can't.
okay. Okay. Now, let us think of all these activities from a rational point of view. Okay? Now, from a rational point of view, how many people have actually seen their parents performing these stunts or talking about these stunts?
Ma'am, I have.
Okay, 1%.
Ma'am, I have.
Same, ma'am.
My dad.
Ankur, I'm assuming you come from armed forces family, so I am
Yes, ma'am.
cutting you some slack because your
Yes,
father must have undergone that training, right? And it is like
yes, ma'am.
irrespective and regardless of the choice, children coming from armed forces are exposed to these kind of activities. Yes, Jay, you were saying something.
My dad often talks about these.
Okay. Wanting to try these or not wanting to try these?
He has tried parasailing and stuff like that, but he wants to try bungee jumping.
Okay. Okay. Now, what I see is that, see, when I'm just talking to very few of you, what I see is that the consensus among the generation, not even 50% of you are willing to actually uh, venture into it. Okay, like honestly speaking, I have tried many of these activities, and when I went for military training camp of amity, children were very excited for this one thing where they were taken on a shoot and behind a jeep, and I found it rather ridiculous because it was just a 10-second flight, and that too it was not at a good altitude, and it seemed rather uninteresting to me. But many students were very very excited about it because they felt it was adventurous and it gave them a thrill. But it was assisted first of all, and the second thing was that it was something which was so safe that from that height if you fall you won't even break a bone. It's almost like that. So if your chute doesn't work, you won't even break a bone because it is that low. And so you must understand, from the rational perspective, yes, it is a very safe thing to do, and many of the students are very happy and they don't want to go beyond that altitude. Are you getting my point? Beyond that height. However, many of them would be willing to take the risk. Now, traditionally speaking, you will not find people from tribal communities, people from traditional communities wanting to try it. Okay, the reason for not wanting to try it is because they believe it is rather irrational and ridiculous to want to jump off a moving airplane, to want to jump from a high cliff, or to want to jump across a high speed current of river. Are you getting my point, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So when I'm talking about all these perspectives, help you all I'm trying to help you in understanding is this fact that most of the time when we try it, it is because our terrains are rather safe. Are you getting my point? We stay inside our house. We are not venturing into a forest where something is unsafe, something is challenging us. We are not going hunting. We are not going looking for a leopard or a deer, or we are not trying any of those trying activities. Are you getting my point? So for us, wanting to have this kind of thrill is something which is rather expected of us. Are you getting? Because our life doesn't involve that many risks. But ask a person who goes to the forest to hunt and sometimes runs as fast as a deer would just to catch hold of the deer. Ask a Naga who organizes hunting expeditions for the community. You'll find it, you'll realize that for them, these kind of activities have no thrill. Um, uh, I I remember one of my colleagues who comes from a hilly terrain once commenting that till the time I did not come down to the plains, I did not know that trekking in the hills was a hobby. Because for him, it was a reality on a daily basis. He said for us, going up and down a steep cliff is something so common and so you can say mundane and monotonous that for us it doesn't matter uh, whether we are small, whether we are old, whether we are male or female. Everyone has to everyone has to move around in the hilly terrain. And he said that for us it is not a hobby, it is a daily life. Okay, so are you getting my point? So to them, a bunch of teenagers coming and wanting to walk on extremely steep cliff is ridiculous, because it seems irrational to them, because for them it's a daily struggle to go about their life. Okay, at the same time, because they are so practiced in it, it's easy for them to do it. But it's the daily terrain struggle. To us it is something so exciting. Okay, so for us it is very exciting to take a detox, a technology detox. Okay, but to a person who has no contact with technology whatsoever, it is not exciting. Are you getting my point? So, multiple perspectives are there. Now, when I talk about Western premises, when I talk about Western attitude towards nature being irrational, I told you it is a common thing for an average Western teenager to be exposed to, training into sports and adventure activities, not because it is a requirement of just their curriculum, but also because there are very few of them in a large area of land which is somewhat risky and somewhat not conducive, and therefore they are exposed to it in many ways possible. So they are more easy going towards the adventure streak, towards the risk taking streak of the um, environment. Are you getting my point, all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
At the same time, there is another perspective. Westerners tend to regard nature as something that is theirs to exploit and theirs to ruin at will. Okay, this is not scientifically sensible or conducive. Okay, it is for this reason that their attitude towards nature is considered to be irrational It is for this reason that you will find that uh, rational choice, which is a very scientific ideology, doesn't hold true in their case. Are you getting my point, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, why is rational choice considered so significant in human ecology? It is because for this reason that we try to identify what activity towards the nature is rational and what activity towards the nature is irrational or insensible. Okay, and it is rather ironical that scientific tradition comes from the Western world, and scientific tradition as we know it, or science as we know it, comes from the Western world, and still the Western world has been more destructive towards their ecology than any other part of the world. Are you getting my point? So, it is for this reason that we need to study cultural practices, whether they were adopted by generations after generations through copying and imitation, or were they adopted as the most rational thing that was possible in the existing or in the given circumstance. Okay, are you getting my point? Why rational choice theory is relevant to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you must try to understand that if slash and burn technology is happening, then or type of agriculture is being practiced, you must see whether that particular community had any other alternatives their way or not. If they did not, then what is the point of practicing it? Okay, then what is the point of doing something which um, so you need to understand that if they were doing it, that is because it was the most feasible way of practicing agriculture. Okay, now we have so many divergent opinions. Okay, if you go to um, climate change summits, they will cause an alarm for everything possible. There is an ozone layer, glacial depositions are depleting, there is global warming happening, and every time you go to a climate summit or you try to read about a climate summit, everything is so alarming. Okay, it is, yes, it is very alarming. It is very, scientifically verified. But it is rather interesting that for a long time, at least till 2010, I remember when we used to have COP meetings by UNFCCC, which was a conglomerate in collaboration with IPCCC, which was the Intergovernmental Planet on Climate Change Convention. It was very interesting. They kept talking about how glaciers were melting constantly. And you will find an interesting paper where there was a particular scientist from India who actually said that if glaciers were melting, why is Mount Everest becoming taller? Okay, and he actually had measured Mount Everest, and geospatially he had proved that in so many years, in certain number of years, Mount Everest had actually gained a height of I think 4 inches or so. And he actually went on to claim that while we constantly raise an alarm towards the destructive practices of the world, we don't actually understand that only 4% of the world's, how do I say, only 4% of the world's environment is can be destroyed by human society. But at the same time, I agree completely with this outlook, and this was not proposed by him, but it was proposed by a group of Westerners and Western scientists who said that even if we take into account all the destructive activities of the world, it is only 4%. Rest 96% is planet's own, changing ecosystem, changing biodiversity, and changing uh, climate system. At the same time, when this lockdown happened, wasn't sky becoming clearer, equally observable? Wasn't it equally observable and obvious how there was a growth in the biodiversity, how some of the most rare species and some of the species that were thought to be extinct reappeared because human interference was limited. And therefore, I'm reminded of another observation, statistical observation made by a zoologist who said that human scientists have been, sorry, not human scientists, scientists have only been able to discover 10% of the species that the planet Earth has to offer. 90% of the species still remain hidden. So it is rather interesting that we have these number of contesting theories and we have these number of ideologies which talk about our relationship with ecology, but at the same time we have so many conflicting ideas and opinions that we don't really know. Like something that ozone hole that took place, that deteriorated in 1980s, took just about 20 days of lockdown and the ozone hole repaired itself. How is this possible that something that could not repair itself for 30 years, 30 odd years, repaired itself in a matter of 20 days? So, how can you say that human activities account for only 4% of the environmental destruction or the environmental degradation? It looks like it is far more than that. They are far more destructive than we think of themselves to be. Then the other thing is that how is it that we always assume that it is the traditional societies that are far more destructive when we have the slash and burn practicing communities, but at the same time we have communities that don't even put tools on land because they think that they are hurting the bosom of their mother. So these are some of the things that I wanted to highlight through rational choice theory, that you must try to take into account the fact that when we are talking about rational choices, we must see that in that context, in that culture, one particular practice or that particular practice may be the most feasible manner in which certain thing was practiced. Okay, maybe the most feasible manner in which or the only option in which certain thing was being practiced. Are you getting my point, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any
Yes, ma'am.
questions? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So I stop here and then we'll meet tomorrow and we'll discuss it further. And I hope the syllabus is almost complete. So we'll see what we can do about other things. What other topics can we compare? Okay. And study. Okay. I'll take your attendance. Abantika, Akshat, Abantika, I saw you. Akshat,
Ma'am, can you hear me?
I can hear you and see you. Akshat, Ankur,
Present, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Present, present,
Dipanshi,
ma'am.
Divya,
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Georgian, Ishita.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. I saw Ishita as well. Jay, Karan.
Present, ma'am.
Mouse not visible. Mama, I switched on my camera.
Hmm. It's taking some time for the streaming. Yeah. Uh,
Ma'am, am I visible?
yes, you are. Then Neha, Priyanka.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, present.
Ma'am, present.
Okay, I can see both of you. Then Ritika and Samaksh.
Present, ma'am.
Present.
Stanzin.
Ma'am, can you see me?
Yes, I can. Stanzin, Vasundhara,
Ma'am.
Am I visible, ma'am?
Present, ma'am. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. I can see Vasundhara, I can see Stanzin, I can see, yeah, Vipul and Vishnu.
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, okay, thank you so much. So we meet tomorrow for the next class. Stopping here.
Thank you, ma'am.